Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell, the Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Thursday, October 9th, 2025. Now, in the Luigi Mangione docket, yesterday was the deadline for the U.S. to respond, the U.S. Attorney's Office to respond to Judge Garnett, who said that they may have violated her rule against speaking out of court about the guilt and death penalty charges against Luigi Mangione. And their response was that they don't think they violated anything, but they did, the posts by the DOJ people did come down. And their response as to White House statements will await their future filing. So we put it up, and the world keeps turning. I would say that the decision on the death penalty may be made before trial, may be made by Judge Garnett. And she's, I mean, I guess on a death penalty case she should be. She's very attuned to the defense's arguments. Let's put it that way. And we'll see. We'll just have to see. On the Diddy file, of course, there was yet another filing. You'd think that it ain't over till it's over. First, Judge Subramanian declined to name in his judgment that Diddy wants Fort Dix. Instead, Diddy wants the New York area, unless he chooses very soon, before the judgment comes out, to say he wants another place. Maybe that would be Florida. He said he's not going to name a particular institution. There are judges that say that, and it's definitely the case that it's up to BOP regardless, including as to region. But there are judges in this district that do name particular institutions. They even ask, which one do you want? Sheridan, FCI, stuff like that. So there's no commonality. I wouldn't read anything into it, but it did happen. And there's also a forfeiture order. 92 items, but since the forfeiture is limited to the counts of conviction, the Mann Act, it's largely electronics found in hotel rooms in New York, some in Miami. Not, some were surprised that it wasn't, but he wasn't convicted of RICO, and so they couldn't go for the big forfeiture that they would have been gunning for. It didn't happen. So there's that. We covered, much of yesterday afternoon was spent covering this interminable multi-district OpenAI and Microsoft case in which authors are seeking money for their works being used to train the model and to provide outputs, meaning answers, the kind of answers that ChatGPT gives you. One example was given of Mr. Martin's novel, which was fully ingested by OpenAI and ChatGPT and now has produced possible sequels with the same characters and everything else. So instead of getting to this sort of, ultimately that's something the courts are going to have to decide. But for now, they're just deciding which versions of ChatGPT are in the case. Because at a certain point, you have to cut it off. They keep coming up with new versions. But the judge is committed to cutting it off. He didn't actually rule yesterday. What he said is that he'll be issuing a bottom line ruling soon, and it probably won't even be today, because there were it went on, and you can find it. We did the whole live stream tweets. Finance, we're there. Now, on the finance front, comments have now been filed opposing Fifth Third and Comerica. It had to be done. There's a huge conflict of interest in which the Treasury Department moved the direct express payment of federal benefits to people without bank accounts from Comerica to Fifth Third, and nearly immediately. Now, the reason was that Comerica was actually fulfilling the contract through a subcontractor in Pakistan. So that was, talk about outsourcing. But Fifth Third is bid, and the comments are in. So we'll have to see. The Fed and the OCC, they have them. They have FOIA requests. We'll just have to see. Meanwhile, the Fed has asked Pinnacle Synovus, another round of questions. These ones are all about CRA. We're about to write that story. So we're covering the financial world and also the UN world. It was announced yesterday that Guterres would be having an emergency stakeout today at 9:15. Some feared that he was somehow erroneously and going to be talking about the Nobel Prize for having issued a series of press releases and nothing else, and banning the press. But no, it was to try to take credit for the Gaza deal. And to say we stand ready to help, as they helped in the past, of course. They have accomplished almost nothing, and he didn't take any questions. So although I'm banned from entering by him, today it didn't cost anything and no one even shouted out any questions. That's the status of the UN press corps. But so you have it. We're going to continue reporting. We're heading in now to be continued.